We always try to get you on board some of the most exclusive boats at the Cannes Yachting Festival, and behind me here is one of them. This is the Extra Fast 90. Now, for those of you who don't know, Exra are a brand of Palumbo super yachts. They're a very modern, very striking, very unusual layout. This is their brand new model, and I'm going to show you all around it. So my name is Hugo Andreae, you're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go and tour it. Couple of quick details then about the X90 Fast. As the name suggests, it is a 90-foot model. It is a GRP structure. It has a maximum beam of about 23 feet. It draws 5.7 feet and it weighs 85 tons. Now, being one of the fast models, it is of course a full planing yacht. It has triple IPS engines and will do around 29 knots even. It also has a range of about 800 nautical miles at 12 knots. So a really capable yacht. You've got the speed, you've got the range, and you've got a lot of features. So let's take a bit of a look at those. You can see here we've got a full hydraulic platform. We've got a couple of C-bobs on it. That links up to a garage here. That garage will take a tender of 3.4 meters. So you can get a Williams 345 or thereabouts in the garage, completely concealed from view so that it leaves this lovely open stern. Now, this is one of the key selling points of the yacht. It is a 3-section cockpit, so you'll notice that it sort of drifts down across 3 different areas. We've got the lower area with this sunbed and the hydraulic platform. We have this midsection here, which is a simply enormous seating area. Masses of space to sprawl around there. You could easily sit certainly 10, maybe 15 people around there. And then this couple of steps up, very gentle steps to this 3rd area here. Now, not surprisingly, this is an eating area. You've got a really nice dining room table, freestanding chairs all around it. But what's rather unusual, it is this connected directly to the galley. So this makes for a really kind of convivial vibe. You can, if you're into your sort of show cooking, you can talk to your crew, to your chef, through this vast opening serving hatch here. Of course, that does close up. If you want a more private meal, you can close it up. But rather nice to have that kind of show dining experience where you can talk to the chef, you can see him preparing your food, and then it brings it out to you here. You've also got wet bar facilities here. There are fridges and so on under there, all covered by this protective flybridge overhang. Got lighting and wood. I'm not quite sure if that's teak in there. It looks like it's probably teak. But very unusual to have this kind of entertaining zone where the cooking becomes part of the show. You can see we've got these little sort of flying buttresses with glass inside them. That means it's really sheltered even when you're underway. Any wind or breeze or apparent breeze coming down the side decks will come straight past you so that the table always feels really sheltered. Let's take a quick look around the deck while we're here. Notice that these are glass infills all the way along here, so you get great views out. Really nice and tall. These are almost shoulder height, these bulwarks here. But it means you'll feel super safe and super well protected, but still get a view through those nice glass infills. Really wide decks. There is access into the sort of bridge, the helm area through here. That's closed at the moment, but it gives you great access to these little wing stations, so the captain can easily pop outside, drive the boat from out here, get a view down the sides, see exactly where you are. And there is this small but really quite special 4-deck lounge area. I love these cutouts in the bow here so that you get a view out. Normally, if you're sitting down here, you wouldn't really get much of a view because that would block your view of the horizon. But by having those big cutouts there, you get a view through it as well as over it. You'll notice that all the deck gear is flush with the deck itself. So even the big winches, they're pop-up winches. You can see they're completely flush, so there's nothing to trip over, stub your toe on. Even the cleats themselves drop down into the deck. So it does become a very usable, entertaining space. It's not just a crew working area, and yet it's still got all the kit you need when you do want to pick up your bow lines. Very distinctive styling on these Extra yachts. They're known for these sort of big flat glass sections. There is several different sort of ranges within the Extra range. This is the Fast. There's a 145-foot aluminium Global Explorer, and they also do the Triplex tri-deck, really high volume displacement yachts. This is a planing yacht rather than displacement yacht. It's a bit sleeker, it's obviously a bit quicker. Second wing helm station here, access to the helm again there, and these same really high protective bulwarks. Right, just before we pop inside, it's worth noting there is in fact a second deck, even though it's really quite a low profile craft. There is a small flybridge, and that is accessed from the side deck here, quite unusually. It's an external staircase, but it's tucked into the side deck. Pop up these steps, and it brings you out into what's really quite an intimate flybridge. It's not a full-length flybridge of the type you'd find on most 90-footers. It's much more intimate than that. There's still all the facilities. You've got a nice little wet bar area here, a couple of bar stools so you can prop up and tuck into your gin and tonics, wrap of seating around the stern part. Here is the radar arch, but the radar is nicely above head level, so it gets a clear view. Probably wouldn't want that horn sounding while you're up here. But you'll see what I mean, it's quite sort of intimate feeling. There is a small dining table up here. You probably wouldn't have a full meal, but you could certainly have lunch if there's just 4 or 5 of you. Sun pads up front and a sun awning. So rather than a chunky hardtop, it is just a sun awning, so the poles can go away, it can all pack down, and then you keep that lovely sleek profile. Just have a little view over the foredeck there. Looks like it might be solar panels in there. They're not, in fact. It is just a styling feature, but that is the glass roof for the bridge. So we'll show you that when we go inside. So let's drop back down these steps. Nice gentle curve on them. Back down to this outdoor entertaining space. And then we'll come through into the main deck. Now I'll show you the galley and the crew area in a minute. That is through the galley itself. But let's go up to the saloon, because having the galley at the stern there means that the saloon is right in the center of the yacht. And they've made the staircase down into a bit of a feature. You'll see that is access down to the cabins, but by having a glass balustrade around it, it means it's perfectly safe, but it doesn't block the view, and it becomes a little bit of a design feature. Now we've got the net curtains sort of drawn across. It just filters out the light, and we're so crammed in here that you wouldn't get much of a view anyway, but you can see there are full-size windows along both sides. Really lush seating, nice informal kind of laid back, millions of scatter cushions. The crew will no doubt spend half their mornings plumping those up. Really good quality woodwork all around. You can see some nice curvature in there, nice textures. Artworks on the wall, backlit with LEDs. Bar area over here. And a wine cooler front and center underneath a huge TV. Now here are those glass skylights that I mentioned from outside. You can see it's just putting those little printed squares on it just makes sure that you don't get absolutely seared by the midday sun. It just provides a little bit of a diffused, scattered sunlight down below, but means you've got plenty of natural light coming both up from above and through those tall side windows. This goes through into the helm station. You can see there is a pocket door that slides across. But even the bridge deck is really quite unusual and distinctive. You've got this lovely walnut sort of curved fascia here, leather dashboard running right across it, very clean, very uncluttered. Access through these 4 MFDs, Garmin MFDs. It is a straightforward IPS drive boat, so even though you've got triple engines, you've just got throttles for the 2 outside ones that will obviously sync with the middle one, but the 2 outside ones do the steering. Conventional joystick, just as you'd find on a much smaller Volvo yacht. It makes it very easy. This could in fact be an owner-operated boat if you want to. It is below the 24-metre load line length, but realistically on a boat this size you are going to have at least some form of crew. Here are the doors giving access to the side deck, so the captain can pop out both sides, take advantage of those wing stations. And then if we make our way back, we can drop down to the accommodation deck down below. Nice wide steps down into the lower deck. And let's head down into the master cabin. Couple more steps down here. And here we come into the owner's suite. Very cool, very calm. It has got hull windows. They're not the biggest I've ever seen on a boat this size, but with all that glass up top, it's rather nice to come down into a slightly darker, cozier space. You've still got some opening portholes behind there. Obviously, we've got the blinds down here. Nice little private desk area tucked away. We've got wardrobe space here. There's a vanity unit under the desk. TV in the forward bulkhead. And open to the bathroom area, so you can enjoy the full width of the boat. You've got light coming in either side of that mirror there. Open to the sinks, obviously, but then separate doors leading through. One goes to the shower. Very cool dark marble in there with striations of colour through it. And then, of course, a more private frosted glass loo and bidet in the other compartment. Very stylish bedhead, light features, lots of different textures in the sofas, beautiful woodwork. Look at the thickness of that door. Absolutely immense. Feels heavy, looks high quality, very smart. And then that moves forward through the yacht. And then we come through to the guest cabins. On the starboard side, we've got a good twin. Got that same sort of voluptuous lighting feature. Good space between the beds. More lovely marble finishes. Smallish hull window. Of course, there is an ensuite bathroom here too. It's behind this mirrored panel. Not quite as spacious as the master, hardly surprisingly. Really sort of fascinating dark coffee colour marble there. Mirror. Big shower compartment. Overhead rain shower. All very luxurious, very high quality. And loo behind the door. Guess that's where it gets the most privacy. Bear in mind, this is the smallest of the cabins. On the opposite side, on the port side, we've got a double. Now this double bed is tucked up against the side of the yacht, so there isn't a walk around facility on that side, but it is a good sized bed. You've got a nice space alongside here. Nice to see that even the bulkheads, you can see rather than being 90 degrees, there is a lovely little curve in the woodwork there. Different textures and colours going on, lots of visual interest. Beautifully finished, it all feels absolutely immaculate. There's not a joint out of place. All the shut lines are perfect, immaculate. Same gap and width all the way down. Another lovely ensuite bathroom here. Look at that for an elegant tap design. Looks more like a reading light or something, but it sort of expands out into a teardrop design. Beautiful. Exactly the same shower compartment. Loo tucked behind the door. And then if we keep on moving forward slowly through the yacht, we come to very unusual forward VIP. And look how much space there is here. Got this sort of grand entrance. And then there's a small plinth, one step up to the bed area itself. And you can notice the change. You've got the wooden decking here, and then a step up to the soft, deep pile white carpet. And unusually, the bed is facing across the beam of the boat. You can see that is hard up against the side of the yacht. That is just where the yacht starts to taper in towards the bow. So it's angled slightly in and across. But it makes a bit of a feature of the bed, having it sort of raised on a plinth like that. Does also mean you've got a flat floor all the way around the bed. You haven't got steps up alongside it as you sometimes might with a forward VIP. But flat floor runs all the way around it. You've got a vanity unit in the corner here. Even little details like this bedside table. You can see it's actually sort of cut away. It's sort of floating, so you can stick your foot under there. It just makes it all seem a bit more delicate. It gives you a bigger impression of space because your feet can run under the bed and under the bedside table. There is a smart little pull-out drawer in there. Plenty of storage behind these big mirrors. TV in the bulkhead. And then the bathroom is over on this side. Obviously the boat is tapering here. That is the hull side again. There's a window behind there. Pretty good shower compartment on that side. More of this lovely sort of chocolate coffee coloured grained marble. And the loo behind the door once again. So there we go. Quite a different feeling. It's amazing how many different layouts and ideas and features you can find on the same size of yacht. I promise you we'd take a bit of a peek around the crew quarters too. This is the galley area. You can see we've got a wine cooler in there. Really large induction hob. And this is the view out over the dining table there. So you can see how you have that lovely interaction between the guest and the chef if you want. But equally, there is, can't see where the switch is, but that whole glass window will rise up if you want separation and the guests want a bit more privacy. You can close that up and then you've got a dedicated crew space. Twin sinks, big oven, lots of refrigeration, I presume they are. We've got a freezer behind there. We've got a fridge. Oh, maybe not. Somewhere there's access to the fridge. And then stairs dropping down to the crew cabins. So good to see that there's a decent sized mess area here. There is somewhere for the crew to hang out. There isn't any natural light down here, but it's quite well lit artificially. Access through to the engine room there. Crew cabins on both sides. You can see that they are bunk bed cabins, but importantly, they both have their own ensuite bathroom. So if I open this area up, you can see there is quite a decent little ensuite bathroom. Proper shower compartment, folding doors. You can keep that area separate from the sort of wash basin and so on in the loo. So it is like a proper shower compartment. Exactly the same behind this one. I won't open it up because I think the crew are on board, but is effectively exactly the same layout on that side, and again with its own ensuite bathroom. Proper separate washer and dryer, so you can wash one load while you're drying the other rather than trying to combine the two of them. And then a watertight door giving access into the engine room. Now, a couple of the crew are down here. I believe they're assembling the coffee machine, but quite interesting layout going on here. I mentioned the fact that it's got triple IPS drives. You can see the engines here. One of the things they've done, which is quite unusual, is that they've put the Kohler generators in the middle of the yacht rather than having them hard up against the side. And the reason they've done that, one is that it means that the noise and vibration doesn't travel through the hull of the yacht. It keeps them central. You can put them on nice secure rubber mounts and it isolates them in terms of noise and vibration. The other is that it just gives engineers better access to them. It means that they're front and center. You can quickly get to them, strip the whole thing down, get to all sides of it. Now, everything has been doubled up. They've taken a lot of the learnings from their bigger boats and introduced them to this one. So things like the fuel filters, the pump systems, they're all doubled up so that if one goes, there's always a second you can rely on. Here's the water maker, really high spec, high volume water maker. I won't crawl around, but you can see there are the three engines. So the two outside ones do the steering, the central one just provides thrust. And of course, being a bit smaller and lower, that leaves room above it for the tender garage. let's finish up this tour of the X90 Fast, sitting on this middle section of that amazing aft deck area. It just goes to show that every time you think you've seen every possible layout, you come across something that's completely different. Now, prices for this start at 7.6 million euros. But what's impressed me about this boat is that it's such a different vibe and such a different feeling. Just the way this enormous layout of the aft deck, that interaction with the galley, that quite intimate little flybridge up top, and the whole layout below deck with that striking forward VIP. It just all feels totally different to the more run-of-the-mill rivals, if you have it. I'd love to know what you make of it. Do you think it works? Do you think it's better? Or do you just think it's something different that people may or may not like? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching.